So hopefully you expect a guy like a Mecca Buka to come in and give you some big contributions day one, which I think he can do because he can play every position at wide receiver. Put him in the slot if he wants to, he's going to eat. Put him on the outside, he can still get it done. And then you also got young guys coming up like Jalen McMillan, who played really well down the stretch last season. So I'm not really too concerned about Baker Mayfield.
Depth chart so far, they're done with OTAs. I believe they're still working on mini camps right now, or they're about to be done with mini camp. I could be wrong. I could always be wrong. I'm wrong so many times. But here's the depth chart as of this moment on our lads. They have obviously Mike Evans. They have Chris Godwin. He's coming back from injury, but it seems like he's going to still be there. They project Emeka Ibuka as the slot receiver, and Jalen McMillan, he's going to be the backup to Chris Godwin when he comes back. You have Tristan Wirth. You have Ben Bretson. He was a free agent, I think he was. They got him in free agency. Graham Barton, and they have a bunch of other guys on the offensive line. Cade Otton, Baker Mayfield, obviously, Bucky Irvin. I can't wait to see what he's going to look like in year 2 in this offense. Well, now they have a new offensive coordinator. That's interesting. Yeah. I wonder who is the offensive coordinator. I need to check that out.
The offensive coordinator is Josh Grizzard. It's at the bottom. You can see like the coaching staff when you scroll down to the bottom.
Okay. Josh Gizzard. Who is Josh Gizzard? Grizzard. Never heard of him before. Anywho, defense. Logan Hall, Vita Vea. A guy I never heard of. Hassan Reddick, another free agent acquisition. Levante David's still there. His old ass. He's still holding on through. He is still there. We got another guy, some other guys. You probably know all these people. Antoine Winfield, I know who he is. Jamel Dean, I know who he is. Yeah. You probably know all these other guys. I never heard of them. Deion Jones.
Yeah, Deion Jones from the Falcons.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's still in the league.
I know. I know Tyke Smith, I know some of the Yaya Diaby, all these guys.
Okay. So, yeah, how do you feel about the defense? Let's go to the defensive side real quick. Because, they went Emeka Ibuka in the first round, but they need defense.
Honestly, they got some dudes that I like on this defense. I'm going to be honest. I like, Vita Vea, obviously. Kalijah Kancey had flashes in that game against the Commanders where he nearly hawked Jaden Daniels down, but Jaden Daniels so great he end up making a play. And I think they got a touchdown on that one. Obviously, Antoine Winfield Jr. is a baller. Jamel Dean is a very solid cornerback in this league. And also, I like some of the draft picks they made on D. Like Benjamin Morrison, he's a good cornerback. I think he was from Notre Dame, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
Notre Dame corner. So solid defense roster. It's not like a bunch of they're not star-studded because Levante David is getting up there in age, but he's still playing good football. But they still have enough. Like Zion McCollum is another bright spot in that secondary. He has some good potential. I like the defense. It's just all the fact that, I think the defense is solid enough. I mean, it's not outstanding or anything, but they got some dudes, and if they get a little more development for those young guys, they can make some plays. So I give the defense a solid 6.5 out of 10.
What about their defensive line? Do you like their defensive line, especially the interior?
Obviously, I love Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey duo. You got that bona fide one tech that's going to clog up and play the run very well. You got Kalijah Kancey who can play inside and he can play a little bit on the edge as well. That's a good 3 tech. He's going to rush the passer. He's their primary pass rusher, in my opinion. They get Hassan Reddick. Who knows, after not being really well, he did end up playing last year towards the end of the year, I want to say. But Hassan Reddick, last time we seen him in full form, he was able to get a bunch of sacks. So yeah, I think the defensive line is the strong point of this defense.
What about the secondary? Are you concerned for the secondary?
Yeah, I am a little concerned with the secondary from a youth standpoint, because really if you are kind of more of a casual player, a casual fan, you really would only know Antoine Winfield Jr. and maybe a Jamel Dean, but they don't have that bona fide star guy in the cornerback position. So I would be a little concerned in that department, but I do like the potential of some of the younger guys. I don't know who Christian Isian is. I don't know who that guy is, but hopefully a guy like a Benjamin Morrison could come in and play well for him year one.
Right. when I look at the draft picks after the drafting of Emeka Ibuka, they literally went all defense except the last one, which was Tez Johnson from Oregon. So
Right.
they went heavy defense for the remainder of their draft, except the last pick. So I like that. That lets me know that they understand that they need more good defensive players on their defense. They were a good run defensive team. It's just maybe that's because of the fact that their pass defense wasn't all that great. So teams were like, hey, we're just going to pass the ball. Let's not run the ball. We're just going to pass the ball. I guess they could be middle of the pack. I'll give them that. They could be middle of the pack. You add Hassan Reddick. You still have Vita Vea. You still have some of those players that you mentioned. They could potentially be middle of the pack. I just think overall, when you look at that secondary, I'm a bit worried. Can they be respectable? Is my question. If they can be respectable, if they can be middle of the pack, if they can be top 15, maybe top 18, I like their chances. That's just how I'm looking at it. But if they can't be top 15, top 18, then that's going to be a problem because they were getting cooked last year from the passing defense. So
True.
yeah. I want to talk about Baker Mayfield because I feel like Baker Mayfield is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the NFL. What are your thoughts on Baker Mayfield's growth? And do you think he's going to continue to play well, even though he's on his he's on his third offensive coordinator? Because you got to remember, the first one, he left, he went to Carolina, he's the head coach, and then the second one went to Jacksonville. So now he's on his third offensive coordinator. Do you think he's going to play well?
I'm gonna lean yes, because obviously Baker has the talent and we've seen it, and he also has a plethora of options on the offensive end. And even if he does start looking shaky in the passing game, you got Bucky Irvin and Rashad White to take the load off on the run game. So, and Mike Evans is still one of the top receivers in the league. Chris Godwin, he's going to be recovering from injury. So hopefully you expect a guy like Emeka Ibuka to come in and give you some big contributions day one, which I think he can do because he can play every position at wide receiver. Put him in the slot if he wants to, he's going to eat. Put him on the outside, he can still get it done. And then you also got young guys coming up like Jalen McMillan, who played really well down the stretch last season. So I'm not really too concerned about Baker Mayfield. And also they have a pretty decent offensive line, and they're young. So I'm not really too concerned about Baker Mayfield replicating his success from the past 2 or so years. So yeah, I'm expecting good things from Baker. I'm expecting like 30 touchdowns and maybe 12 or so picks. That's a good season for him.
Okay. Looking at Josh Grizzard, the new offensive coordinator, he comes from a good background. Miami Dolphins for a good while, and he was the passing game coordinator for the Buccaneers last year. So he's been in-house. He was the passing game coordinator. So I think he'll be fine. He comes from a good tree, Miami Dolphins. You have Mike McDaniels, I think his name is. So,
yeah, Mike McDaniels, yeah.
So he comes from a good tree. I just think having 3 coordinators in 3 years is...
That's the thing. You get a good corner to get poached up for head coaching jobs.
Right. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I trust Baker. I think he's a very underrated quarterback. He's been really good ever since he left Carolina and Cleveland. He's had a resurgent career. So when you add Emeka Ibuka alongside Mike Evans, and you still have Chris Godwin coming back from an injury, and you have Jalen McMillan, I like their chances a lot. And Cade Otton, he was really good. Cade Otton, he was pretty good. I don't know about his blocking, but as a receiving tight end, he was really good for them. So they have a lot of weapons. And Bucky Irvin. How can I forget about Bucky Irvin? Bucky Irvin, I think he had 1,000 yards last year too. He came on the scene out of nowhere.
Going crazy.
So I like the Buccaneers offense. I think they'll be fine. No, let's get to the final. Who do we rank? Who do we rank in the division? Who's going to win the division? So Brian,
my pick is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they're in a better position. They made the playoffs last year. Unfortunately, they ran into Demon Jaden Daniels on a crazy run. They was in a position to win that game, which is crazy. But I think the Buccaneers repeat as division winners. Second place, I'm gonna go with the Falcons. Then I'm gonna go with the Panthers, and then the last place would be the Saints, which would be hilarious. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with.
Okay. I I think I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna go with the Buccaneers as well. They have the better dudes. They probably had a better coaching as well. They have the best quarterback in their division. They have
The
the
most
best
proven quarterback, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I think the talent for the Buccaneers, they got Evans, they have Bucky Urban, they just drafted Mecca Ibuka, which is crazy. Chris Godwin, he's coming back from an injury, but now he doesn't have to be relied on as the number 2. He could be potentially the number 3 because of Mecca Ibuka. And then they have Jalen McMillan, who they drafted last year, good depth piece. Cade Otton. They got so many guys. The offensive line is pretty good. The defense is okay, middle of the pack. So I'm just gonna have to go with the Buccaneers. They just had the better dudes. They potentially had
I
the
feel
better
like they
coaching staff.
understand. I think they understand that how to support your QB, your younger QB. Because like they could have easily just said, Jalen McMillan showed flashes in the last season. He was pretty good. Now we're just gonna roll with him and throw him in that wide receiver. They said no. We are going to get Emeka Egbuka, who has look. Emeka Egbuka, I'm surprised he's as underrated as people try to make in his draft cycle. Dog, Emeka Egbuka, he played with Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jeremiah Smith, who was a generational prospect. He still maintained relevance through all them years. The man is nice. Nice. He's been a contributor since he was a freshman. You know how hard it is to get real good run as a freshman at Ohio State at wide receiver? Played all 4 years. He was a contributor in all 4 of them years.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna have Falcons at 2. Do you think the Falcons could potentially usurp the Buccaneers this year if they have a good season?
Absolutely. But the reason they probably won't is because the defense.
Yeah, and the coaching staff as well. I don't know if Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson will be better than Todd Bowles and Grizzard. So I don't know. In Carolina, there's still question marks on the offense. Receiving core, we have no clue really. And defensively, it's like, they still got a lot to work.
They're gonna be able to run that pill.
Yeah. And then the Saints, we already know they're a lost cause. Yeah. They're a lost cause. So anywho, it seems like a repeat of last year.
Carr was like, he tore my shoulder or something. All right, I'm retiring. Thanks for the money.
Hey, at least they got off of Derek Carr.
True.
But what is their
one bright spot of the offseason? We got rid of Derek Carr. Woo.
What is their other option? All right. Oh my gosh. What else is there? I think that'll do it.